have a nice car, I just sell it. I start having health problem.
Part of my story is part of my mom's story, which is why this interview is so important, right? And I talk about the health issues that come along with the long-term effects of being in the beauty industry. And that's just what it is. It does have long-term effects. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to another episode of I Don't Know Who Needs to Hear This, But. And today we have a very special guest that is near and dear to my heart. It is Mama G, but I will save the introductions for her. On today's episode, this is really just going to be, there's no rhyme or reason to this, right? This is more of an interview style. I do not have a topic in mind, but I probably will by the time I have this posted on YouTube. So, Mama, can you introduce yourself? Tell the people who you are, what you do, or what you have done.
My name is Gerda, usually Madam James. I'm her mother, and I'm a hairstylist, a cosmetologist for a long time.
Oh no, how many years? What you mean a long time? Yeah.
My first license was in 1982.
Yikes! 82.
My first shop was in Tampa in 1986.
Ooh! So we're talking to an OG today.
And I've been doing hair.
hair.
Yes, until I retired back in 2022.
Oh, you have a date for when you retired?
Yes, when the shop.
Okay, yeah. All right. Officially retired.
Officially.
Okay, so we're going to go down memory lane.
Wow.
Yes, because I told you we're going to do this. This is going to be like your mini autobiography here.
Okay.
She said, okay. So let's talk about growing up in Haiti. Like how, as a child, so what number child were you, right? Let's start with that. And I guess, so let me preface with why I'm asking this, because I want to get to the root of how we got to hair, how we got to beauty. And I've heard the story, so I have to ask it in a way so that you guys can understand how we got here. So I want to talk about a little bit about your childhood and how you even got into doing hair and into the beauty industry.
Okay, I was born in Haiti. I am the oldest. My mother had 5 other girls.
Okay.
And when it's time for school, we have to get the hair done every day. But I always go ahead and do my own hair. My mother didn't like that. And I tried to explain to her, I'm helping you.
Yeah.
And then I started doing mine and the daughter, which is my sister that followed me.
Okay.
And when my mother realized that helping, but I was doing it for myself. So.
Why she didn't like that?
Because she feel like I'm disrespectful.
Oh.
I try to fix. It's like I don't like what she's doing.
So she was doing your hair, but you changed it?
I like it nice and big. And, but she knows me.
Yeah. So she didn't, okay.
But
all right.
I tell her that it's because I'm helping you.
Yeah.
So I don't get in trouble.
Okay.
And then by saying that, and I choose to do the next one. She have very nice hair and easier to do, and I do her. I do mine and do her.
You started off by doing your hair.
Yeah. And then my sister.
Okay.
And then
all of them. You did all of them pretty much.
When it get to the point, yeah. Since I'm doing it, my mother will be doing something else. I'll be doing the one, do the other one, and then.
So y'all low-key started your own shop like that. Okay, so when you were younger, was that something you always dreamed of doing? Like, what is that?
No, not really.
What did you want to do?
My father always wanted me to be a doctor.
What did you want to do?
I always focused on the healthcare though.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't want to go as far as
like to do a doctor.
But
really?
And when I first come here to America, I said, well, I take any job, and then I go to school to learn English. And from there, I go to school and become a CNA.
Okay. So wait, you went to school to learn English specifically, or
yes.
you? Okay.
I went to a school to learn English. Yeah.
I thought it was a soap operas. I thought you were watching soap operas to learn English.
No, I went to school for.
Okay, all right. So when you, all right, wait, you came here to America in what year?
1977.
Okay. All right. So you came here in 77. So who would you say, did you have a influence growing up? Like, who was your biggest influence?
My mother.
Your mom?
Yes.
Why?
Because she always telling me this is what the right thing to do in life.
Was it the
you
right
have
thing?
to be independent. Because she did not like the way her family make her come to Port-au-Prince, which is capital, so she can take care of the brothers.
So they low-key forced her to raise her siblings.
They make her be a caretaker while the boys are going to school. My grandparents did not believe on women going to school. And then she's like, no woman in this place. Every woman gonna be independent.
It makes sense. Makes sense how we got here.
Yes.
Because, yeah, okay.
She said,
I didn't know that about grandma.
She said no. And that's when every time report card come in, show me the report card.
Yeah.
But she wasn't in school. And why is that red line in your report card? And then we get...
But okay, now in school in Haiti, didn't you have to pay for school?
Yes.
And all? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Because I remember you were telling me that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your first memory of arriving to America?
Getting in the airport.
Yeah, what was that like? Like, what was that like?
It's like from Haiti. I don't go from Haiti to Miami.
Okay.
I go different other countries.
Okay, so when you first got to America, like when you first landed in America, were you relieved? Were you nervous? Were you like...
I was a little nervous because, I did not have, all my documents and everything. But since I go through Puerto Rico, when I get to Miami, they did not ask me.
Okay.
I did not have to show
And
anything.
I want you to talk a little bit about your favorite guy, your favorite president, and how we got to this place here. Because especially now in the state that we are in America, and all the talk about immigration, and realizing that it is not as easy as it may seem to go about it the right way. So for you said you went through Puerto Rico. You got here. They didn't ask questions. All right, boom. So when you got here, when you started that process, what did that look like? Like,
first, it's I'm looking for some work to do.
Okay, all right.
And then, but I did not have no work paper. And Carter was president. Carter was having a program for Cuban and Haitian.
Oh, specifically. Okay.
Yeah, Cuban and Haitian. And people was afraid to go apply for it. I said, well,
if that's what it's for.
That's what it's for. Let me go apply for it.
Okay. So with that was to work?
Yes.
Okay.
That's to give the work papers.
Okay.
From that, I can go to school with it.
Okay, cool.
And then I get that work paper. I go to school.
Okay.
And then I started.
So from the time you got here, that was 77?
Yes.
From the time you got here, 77, to the time you got your citizenship, what year was that?
The thing about this, I passed the time for me to get my citizenship.
Okay.
Because I wasn't planning on becoming American.
Okay.
I wanted to travel from, I have my green card, 1984, 85.
Okay.
That's when I get my green card. After that, there's 5 years after I can become a citizen.
Okay.
But I was, pushing it back.
Okay.
Until something happened. And then when something happened in Haiti, they said, it's only American citizen they're going to take out of Haiti. And you Haitian can wait because the problem was in Haiti.
Oh, okay. So
that's what made me change my mind to say, okay, then, and they want the American passport. And that's why I said, well, let me get my citizenship.
Because you're not going back. So when did you decide you weren't going back? Because I thought you were already I ain't going back.
That when Duvalier lost power, and then there was so much
turmoil.
And I said, no, I'm not. going back to, because I have kids, and that's too much.
Okay.
That's when I choose to focus on my citizenship.
Okay. So you're focused on your citizenship. This is 80.
When I first really applied for it, it's like 1992. 1992.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you got it.
Yes.
Okay.
I got it.
I was born in the 90s.
Yeah, 90. You just see, when we were in New York, that's when I get it, in New York State.
Okay. So you did all that. In the meantime, what were you doing for work? Like, what were you doing?
I always work in the hair business.
So you were always doing
If
hair.
I do anything else, it will be for a part-time.
Okay.
For extra.
So, but tell us about that. What was that extra? What was the part-time?
It's okay.
Because you said CNA.
Yes. And I sorry, that was, way back in Miami. From CNA, I went back to school to become a medical assistant.
Okay.
That's when I worked at the doctor's office.
Okay.
I did not like the way the doctor treating the people that's working for them. I said no. And during that time, though, I still go doing hair.
So you were always doing hair.
Yes.
Doing hair was always.
Yes.
So would you say that was the part-time or that was the main?
When I was a CNA, I worked like 3 to 11. So I can do the hair.
But you consider doing hair the main?
Yes,
for sure.
That was my focus.
Working part-time.
That was
okay. So let's talk about, because this is where my memory kicks in, right?
Okay.
Let's talk about the so wait, let's rewind, because you said you had a shop in Tampa.
Yes, 1986.
1986.
1989 when we moved.
89 is when we moved up Boston?
Yeah, Massachusetts.
Did you have a shop there or no?
No.
Okay.
I did not stay there long enough. I did not, I was doing my math, I did not have a shop.
So then in 1990,
that's when I moved to New York.
And then
January 1990.
When was it when we got? So did you have a shop? When was it that we moved to Westbury? But that's what I'm trying to get to in this.
Oh, okay. I moved to I think it was 1991.
Okay, so I was already born.
Yes, you were born in Queens.
So let's talk about the shop in the basement.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's where you want to go. Okay. Yeah. So when I was doing hair, I went to a place. But the owner was living in the basement. They didn't like that. And I said, okay, let me get my own place.
Okay.
That's when I go work to the hospital. I worked at the hospital full time at that time for 2 years. And I saved all that money from the hospital so I can get my own house.
Okay. And that's when you got the house in Westbury.
Yes.
And then,
I get my house, and then I make sure I get room, fix the basement, get somebody to make a beautiful shop.
It was. I wasn't allowed down there. But I snuck down there at one point and I tumbled down the stairs.
Fall down.
But yeah, you had everything set up in there. And the basement had a separate entrance. It had its own,
own bathroom, everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
You were set up there.
The bathroom.
So then why did you decide to move to Florida again?
I started having health problems.
Okay.
And, and everything I could have stayed, but.
And how old are you? Because we talk a lot now. No, I talk a lot about my mom. Like, part of my story is part of my mom's story, which is why this interview is so important, right? And I talk about the health issues that come along with the long-term effects of being in the beauty industry. And that's just what it is. It does have long-term effects. So how old were you when you said you started feeling health problems? This is before we left New York.
Okay.
94?
Before that. In 94, when the doctor telling me I might end up in a wheelchair because of my...
Would you say that it contributed to...
being on my feet constantly.
There it is.
Not, the hair business, I'm on my feet.
Yes.
Work in the hospital, I'm on my feet.
Yes.
So I was doing those for more than 2 years.
Yes.
Back to back.
Yes.
Full time both.
Yes. Okay. So that's when you started. And then, so 94, Well, you said before that. So let's say 92.
Yeah.
How old were you? Let's talk about it.
37, I think.
37.
Because, yeah, I think it was,
So late 30s.
92.
Yeah.
I think I was about like 37.
37 of doing that full time, working like that for over 2 years. And then that's when it was like, okay, you started to feel it physically.
Yes.
So then you decided to move down to Florida. Well, let's rewind. Did you decide, were you trying to do anything? Was there physical? Because I know you were working out as well.
Yes, I was doing that, but the weather.
Okay.
That's the one that make me choose to come back to Florida.
Okay.
Because of the cold weather. The cold weather make me worse every time. It's get freezing. Yeah, I cannot even drive.
Yeah.
It's freeze my...
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's early. So, what was I going to say? Okay, so you moved down to Florida. What was your first... Now you got to reset. So, a lot of people say that they can't leave. Now, I'm talking present day. Say that, what are they going to do? How are they going to build clientele when they move, right? Like, that's like a big thing. Oh, moving, you got to rebuild your books. So what is it that you did? Mind you, you have a thriving business in the basement in New York. You have to move down to Florida now and restart.
Yes.
What was the first thing you did?
First thing I did, I transferred my license.
Okay.
I said I need to get somewhere to work. So before I even moved to Florida, I contacted the cosmetologist department and then changed my license because I already had a license
in New York.
No. I changed my license from Florida to New York.
Oh, yes, that's true. That's true.
New York hours are less than Florida.
Oh, really?
I did not have to go to school.
Oh,
when I went to New York.
I wonder how that is now.
Yeah,
probably different.
So it's like when I come back to Florida, when I call them, they told me, if you changing your New York license, you're gonna have to do 200 hours more.
Okay.
To cover, to make. I said, no, I had
a Florida license.
And then when they check, they say, oh, I don't have to do no schooling. So they just sent me my license. And then when I come in, I go right to work.
Okay. So, well, when you say right to work,
I get doing hair.
Do where? Where did you start off back?
Okay. No. In Cuscutters.
Okay. All right. So you worked for somebody. You worked in a place.
Yes.
You didn't start out with your own shop yet.
Nope.
Okay.
And because of being on my feet all the time, I wasn't planning on going back setting up my own shop.
Okay.
But I get in the insurance business while I'm doing this.
So you're doing hair and then you got in the insurance business?
Yeah. I get my license. I was selling insurance and then I go back and then get my 220 license and then go back again.
So why didn't you just do like the insurance?
I was.
Until... Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then while I was doing I get my license for the insurance now. While I'm going seeing people, somebody bring me to a friend that had a shop, and then I was telling her about life insurance, what she needs. Back then, when I was doing it, it was like get at least a life insurance, a term life, so you can have. I have the other part, of the
license.
No, I have the license, and then a part to teach people buy term life, which is less, and then the difference would be in the investment.
Okay.
To help people invest the money.
Okay.
So, and then when they get a certain amount in their investment, so then they can get a regular life. But term life, that's what we're focusing on. When I was explaining to the lady said, nobody never tell me that I'm getting rid of that hair business thing. And then the other lady looked at me because I was doing her hair at Cuscutters. That's when I met her. But I didn't talk to the lady about hair or anything.
Yeah.
That's when she find out I'm a cosmetologist. She said, you have your license? I said, yeah, I have my license, but that's not what I'm here. She said, I'm selling this one. I said, really? For how much?
So that's how you ended up at the shop. I was wondering, like, were you seeking it? Okay.
It really fall right on your lap. And then I said, how much would it be? She said, I'll take anything, and then you know what you have, and then you can pay me what the difference is.
And so she was selling her whole shop. Yes. She was selling it. So she sold it to you.
Yes.
And what does that look like? Like, so for people that don't know, right? Because most of us think we have to start off with our own, like, oh, create our own, open our own. You can buy another shop, another business.
I bought it from her.
So when you buy it, did you take on the employees, the clients, everything? Over, like, what does that look like?
Yeah. But I don't make anybody that don't want to stay, I don't tell them they have to.
Okay. Client-wise? You mean, or employee-wise?
Employee.
Okay.
I know I can build my.
Oh, she said, "I know I can. I don't need them clients, Wookie.
Yeah, I got a plan how I build up.
Talk about the plan.
The plan back then is like I make a flyer and go to Best Buy, you know, the place, and then printed all the flyers and pay for that, and then go to people's cars and go to the grocery store, go to places and give out my flyers.
So now that they make some of that stuff illegal, that's called soliciting certain places.
That's what I used to do. Put them in people's cars.
Okay.
And then
that's
give it out. That's how
you built your clientele.
Yes.
Back then.
Yeah.
So you didn't do no advertisements.
No. And I put on the thing. If you come with that flyer, it's gonna be 20% off the price you see on the wall.
So there was an offer.
Yes,
there was an offer with it.
To make them come in.
Okay, all right. This is back. Okay. This is back in 1998.
97.
97 is when this shop fell in her lap.
Yes.
Wow, must be nice.
You know what I did? I sell my car and pay the lady because I didn't want to owe nobody nothing.
Okay, so let's.
I have a nice car. I just sell it.
She said, I had a nice car. I just sold it. So when you want something bad enough, right? Like what is stopping anybody now? I guess. Yeah. Like, so wait, you.
Yes.
So how long did you go without a car? Mind you, my mom is
3 years.
Okay, 3 years, one car in the family.
Yeah, we had our old pickup truck. That's the one I drive every day to the shop.
Okay, I remember that pickup truck.
Yes,
it was white.
Yeah.
So we went down to one car as a family for 3 years. Worked hard for 3 years and then bought the car that you wanted.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about. Hold on, let me get my notes because we're just going.
You go deep then.
Yes, that's what this is for. Okay, how did you first learn the ins and outs of running a full service salon? Because this is technically your first full service salon, right?
No, the one in Tampa. I have one nail tech working, 2 other people. Yeah, but I did not have a barber then.
Okay.
I was looking for one, but I did not have one.
So were you commissioned? Was it commission based or was it like booth rent?
In Tampa, it was commission based.
Okay.
Not everybody wants to take the responsibility of the booth rent because when you take booth rent, you have to, every week you pay.
Yep, and you're your own business. Yeah. You're your own business.
You know.
So Tampa was commission. That's okay. And then the one here.
The one here, I said no. Because by that time, I cannot just have somebody on commission. I say, do you have client? Do you have? And then I give them a discounted what everybody pay for the booth rent. I started them lower so they can build the client. Okay. And then I don't tell them until I say, well, I give you 90 days.
Okay, I was gonna say, what was the time frame?
Yeah, 90 days.
Okay.
And then after that, you pay full price.
Okay, that makes sense. And that was for anyone all the time, or that was just like the first year?
No, not for everybody all the time. If somebody come in, the first thing they want both rental, I say, well, do you have your clients?
Okay,
you have fully. I'll say, okay, it's the price.
Okay, all right. That model makes sense. Say it makes sense to apply now. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. What sacrifices did you make as a mom? Well, we just kind of touched on that. She sold her car. That was one sacrifice. As a mom and businesswoman that people might not know.
See, everything you do in life, you cannot put yourself first. You have to see how, especially when you have kids, how that's going to affect your kids. You know? And it's like my oldest one, I bought a car before I buy my own car. Because that way she's gonna be helping. She's gonna
You bought her a car for your own.
No, because she's the one that's go ahead and pick the kids up.
That makes sense.
Driving the kids, by that time she was about to graduate high school.
She was like 17
going. So I get her a car and then get her so she can be the driver.
I was gonna say it so she can be the driver.
Yeah,
really.
That's another thing. When I did that, I overdoing it, not because I want to please her. That will help me.
So you overdid it, you feel like?
Yeah.
Oh, she said confidently. So I mean, if you call it what it is. You know what it is. Looking back on it, you can see it. Oh, so this is gonna be good. So this is the financial part, because now we dived into the journey, the career, the business. Well, hold on. No, we're not done with the business, because let's finish off the career part, right? So so you had the shop, right? And then how long did you have it for?
See, what I do while I have that, remember I tell you about the insurance? I am licensed for insurance too. So I start, instead of me going, so I have somebody come in and set up the office for me, and I buy a computer, and then I start selling insurance
out the shop.
Out the shop,
yes.
Okay? And then I start doing money transferring to Haiti. So while people come in and get their hair done, they have the sign says transfer. That was with Unibank. When they say Unibank, everybody knows Unitransfer, deal with Unibank. And the people, I was selling car insurance. I was even my little girl, I teach my little girl how to get all the information from people. And then before I go in the computer and put all people's information, so business was booming.
Yes, it was. So you're doing hair. You have booth renters. So not only are you behind the chair, you have booth renters.
Yes.
And you're selling insurance, all different types of insurance, and you're doing transfers. You have phone cards too. I was waiting for you to say it. I was like, I remember the phone cards.
I was doing so much.
I was in there, y'all. See, I forgot. I was the shampoo girl.
Yeah.
I was the sweeper. I was the receptionist. I was picking up the phones. And I was in there doing the transfers with the computer, and I was selling phone cards.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, right? The entrepreneurial pipeline. So we have this shop. What happened to the shop, Mom?
A lot happening.
Let's be candid.
Okay. So the owner sell the building.
Okay.
And then the new owner want to buy me out because they want the spot that I was in to bring. It was a Mexican restaurant, and they have a shop too. They buy me out. When they offer me $25,000,
was that worth it?
Yes, yes.
Why?
It's not but I get what I put in it.
Oh, okay.
Plus, I can remove all my furniture.
Okay. So you feel like that was worth not having
the move wasn't worth it, but it's like I see it at that point, and when I wanted to move, nobody really want to move because that location was
that's what I was like.
That wasn't a good move though.
Okay, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah,
I'm
was a good move.
Was that worth it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So only because they wanted to buy you out?
No, it's because they want for their,
Yeah. But you could have said no.
Yeah, I could have said no.
Yeah.
But I did not.
Okay. All right. So then you moved to the next shop that was on Orange? OBT.
Yes.
How was that location?
Wasn't good.
Okay.
That's why I didn't stay long.
Okay. And then the next one was Orange.
Orange
was okay, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until the market crashed, everything going down, nobody want to, and I have the house. The house was empty, That's when I gave up. I give up the place.
Okay, this is a perfect segue. So you gave up that place because the market had crashed. Business started. So that at this point, what year is this? When you moved into Orange?
2005 or 4.
Yeah, so that was like you were there for
not for long.
Not for long because the market crashed in 2008.
Yes.
And then at 2009, right? Soon after?
2000,
or 2010.
I moved out like in 2009.
Okay. So this is a perfect segue into financial growth and investing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's back up because you said you had the house and it was empty. Yeah. What house?
The house on Oak Ridge Road.
Okay. So let's talk about that. Mm-hmm. When did you get that?
I get it because I'm always into investment property.
Why? When did that start for you?
That's always since back in Haiti. I said nobody should have only one house. Okay,
so this was since before you even came here.
Yes.
Before you learned like the ways of like how it is in America.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. That's why my first property was a duplex.
Yes.
I live on one, I rent the other one. I always like
that was in Tampa?
No, in Miami.
Okay, all right. Yeah, the people are like, what? Miami's in there? So when my mom first got here, it was Miami, Tampa, Boston, New York.
How do you know all this?
Because I wasn't there, but I know the story. Yeah. New York, and then Long Island, Westbury, and then Orlando. So that's the journey, my mom's journey. So when you first got to Miami, you got a duplex?
That was my first house.
When was this now? Let's rewind.
That was back in 1980.
Yeah, because you had just got here in 77.
Yes.
Jesus.
What happened, we were living in a small place.
Yes.
A baby.
Yeah, guess it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a little baby and I end up pregnant.
Yeah, back to back. She didn't play.
Now I need more room for 2 kids. I was looking for an apartment that have at least 2 bedrooms. Mm-hmm. One for the kids. And when I went to go look at the place, and the realtor said, why don't you buy your own? That monthly payment, you can... I said,
Yeah, you were nervous.
Yeah, I didn't think I can.
Yeah.
I said, I can't. She said, do you have a job? I said, yes. Do your husband have a job? Yes. Did you fill your taxes? Yes. I'm like, do you have 2 years of taxes? Yes. You qualify. I'm going to pay. I'm getting you a duplex. You live on one side and you rent the other side. That will help you pay for your mortgage. When I get that duplex, the one side pay for the whole mortgage. I was living rent free.
That's crazy, y'all. Like, and mind you, you just got here.
Just
like you didn't really know, like, so your realtor really put you on game.
Yeah.
Who's this? Yes. Do you remember this realtor?
Yeah, Thelma Reeves.
She said, yeah. Shout out to Thelma Reeves because she put my mama on.
That was back 1980.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Even at church, people like, what?
Yeah.
You just get here? By 1980, Carter did not become president again.
So this is before Carter.
No.
Oh, he did.
He was president.
Oh, he was president.
But he did not re-elected.
Oh, okay.
In the end of 1980, that's when election happened. He did not.
Oh, he didn't re-elect. Okay,
re-elected.
All right. So the program. Okay, we're all over the place. Let me keep going with the investments.
Yeah.
So this is when you really first got your hand in real estate.
Yes.
That's when you learned. Okay, yes. So this is all right.
Yeah. When everything happened politically, they're like, "Oh, we can go to deport you." I said, "Okay. If we can want to deport me, that's okay. I'm gonna tell him I have 2 kids. I have a house. We have 2 cars. I have 2 bank accounts." Because the lady was telling me, "Do you have a bank account?" I said, "Yes, I have a checking and a saving." The checking for me to pay everything. Okay, that's when She said I qualify, and then I said okay.
And you did everything. You did. You had all the things that you needed to qualify. And nobody was checking for all that. Like,
and I told them, I pay my taxes. I have all my paperwork. I pay my taxes.
And mind you, you're paying taxes as a what they call illegal immigrant, right? You're still paying taxes.
So. And then when I said, well, at least let me save every dime I was supposed to pay on rent. When they come to deport me, I will ask them to give me so many hours to get my money out, to get my kids settled up.
So you was even preparing to be deported.
Yes.
Okay. But that never happened.
No.
Thank God, because I would have been bored of Haiti. Okay, so that was your first taste of real estate. Now moving, because I don't want to go too deep on the whole thing.
Yeah.
So when let's fast forward to Oak Ridge, right? So when did you get the property? Because you have the home on Oak Ridge.
Yeah. When I was going to the shop, when my shop was on Oak Ridge, there was a property there for sale. I went for it, but the deal didn't go through.
Okay.
And it was a place further up.
On that street?
On that same Oak Ridge street.
Oh, okay.
Almost across from the apartment.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Every time I look at that house, they make it a business though.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of them on Oak Ridge. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so then you got...
This one was for sale, and I go for it, and then it went through.
What year was that?
2007. Because we were just getting...
That was right before the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you got that house, and then you rented it out.
Yes.
Right? You just got it and rented it out.
Get it out. Yeah.
So that's how you knew. So the house was empty at the time, and that's when she went from having the shops to working out of this house.
Yes.
At this point, was it already paid off?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So you were still making payments at that point. Okay. So what advice would you give women now who are afraid of handling money or investing?
Handling money, it's first of all, when you work, make sure your income, you can live off of half of what you're making.
Okay, so we have to be making at least
half
of what we're making is what we're living off of.
Yes.
Okay.
If you have to spend more than half, you keep your job though.
Okay.
Either you make yourself get a better job or you get a second job.
Okay. So let's say for beauty professionals.
Beauty professional, you need to learn how to, when you get your money coming, a lot of times people spend too much of what they're making. It's any business. You have to go by your business income and spend it. Okay? Overhead.
Yes. Yeah.
It's very important to go through that. Make sure you don't do something that you cannot afford
later on.
Yeah. There are some place that if you get that place, the overhead gonna be too much. You already know what you can do. You have to know that if I can do 5 clients a day, you should be able to save 2 of those 5 clients a day for yourself.
Saving for yourself. When you say saving, you paying yourself. So let's talk a little bit about paying yourself. So you're budgeting that out the gate, right? So you were not waiting until you reached a certain amount to pay yourself.
No.
You were always paying yourself.
Yes.
Talk to them now. Because a lot of people, they don't pay themselves.
No.
Or they don't have enough money after overhead. And it's just like...
If that's the case, you need to either, hire other people because you cannot, everything you make is for overhead. No.
Or the other way around. Some people are taking all that money as if it's their money and not paying what they need to pay in their business.
Or no. It's like you do, that's what I said, 50-50 first, or 50. It's always the 50 is
like what your needs. Your needs.
Yeah. The difference, you can say, okay, 40 for overhead and 10 for and something need to be.
So wait, let's rewind, because you said 50. So you said you should be able to pay yourself from 2 clients.
That's what I say. It's depend. If you do 5 clients a day.
Out of the day.
Yes.
So out of the day, if you do 5 clients,
2 should be for paying yourself,
and then the rest
for overhead and.
I like that breakdown.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say, well, I don't know where to start. I don't know. It's like a day. Start with a day breakdown.
Yeah.
Daily breakdown.
Yes.
Okay.
You don't wait until you have a good day.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Okay. All right. So, when did you start learning about? Well, you kind of answered that about learning about investments.
Yeah.
So
when I went to the school for it.
Now let's talk about that real quick. Mm-hmm. The school. When did you go to school? Like, what school did you go to? Or not even what school, but what did you go for? The financial part.
Okay, it's called financial advisor.
Okay.
So
that's what you went for.
Yes, because through the insurance, because the way the insurance, I do the insurance license.
Yes.
But I went back to school to have somebody invested for the investment company to deal with me. I have to certify.
That makes sense.
Okay. I have to get the certified financial advisement part.
Okay.
But I did not pass that test.
Okay.
That's why I'm a financial advisor without the C, not the certified.
Certified. Okay.
That's why I never do it. But I tell people how to invest.
Mm-hmm. You learned everything you need to. You just didn't pass the test.
Yes. Yes.
So you have the knowledge. Let's put that out there,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So now. My mom has her own community, right? Obviously, it doesn't look anything like how mine look like. It's online, all that other stuff. No. So when you talk to people in your community about money, investing, and how to set themselves up, you already told us about the 50%, right? 50% for you. What other breakdowns would you say needs to be included in that? Like, how does the whole picture look?
Sometimes when you're telling people about investment, my community, they don't go for it. And then I said, okay, I do what we call susu.
Yes.
Okay. And then I said, okay, let me help you save a lump sum. And then sometimes I tell people how much you're making every week. They said, $400 or $500. I said, well, can you give me $125 of that $400 every week without interfering of paying? That's for somebody to save. So every time they get paid every Friday, I say, give me $125. Can you do that for a year? I always said, think about it. Can you do that for a year without interference from your living expenses?
Okay.
When you do it like that, they think about it. They said, yeah. Between me, my sister, sometimes they have other people living together. Yeah, we can do that. I said, okay then. Can you do that for 1 year without no problem? Yeah. And then I do that. I get a group of people like that. No less than 30.
Okay. So what have you been able to do for the people that have done this?
What I do when I give them the lump sum, and then I tell them, don't just spend it. Find something positive to do with that lump sum.
But tell me some testimonials, right? From actual people that have actually at least 2 people that you could think of that you've helped the most.
Okay. I don't want to say her name.
No, don't.
Okay?
Just like you could just.
She met me way back in 1995 when I first moved here. And then when I was talking to her, she was telling me, she's a pharmacist. She was working at Walmart pharmacy and things. And then, and she come to me to do her hair. While I'm doing her hair, she lives in an apartment. I said, why are you living in an apartment? That money you're paying in the apartment, why don't you buy your own place? She goes, really? I said, yes, you can do that. And then while we were talking, she said, oh, my lease is about to be over. I said, what lease? For your apartment? No, for my car. I said, what? Turn that car over right now.
Turn it over to where?
Give it back to the lease company. You want to go back? I said, you're going to buy your own car.
Okay. I
said, why are you leasing a car? Mm-hmm. Oh, I get a new car every 2 years. I said, you never have a car. You said you have a new car? It's
every
like
2 years.
Every 2 years she go and change it. She think. Now that lady buying her car cash through the Susu. And the first thing she did, she listened to me. She go and buy that house. Every year she take 2 hands. Every year she start paying that house down. She paid off the first house. First house.
Not the same. So that means she's in another house.
Yeah.
And that house
is paid off too.
It's paid off, it's rented out, and it's generating income. Just money. Just by itself.
Every month, all she pay is taxes and insurance.
And that was since, like you said, 95, you knew her. And that's not the only person, right? That's not the only person. But they also, the biggest takeaway is, what did she do? She listened. She listened.
All the time she said, oh God, I thank you. I said, no, you listen. I said, you should see how many people I give advice to. They don't listen.
That's the biggest takeaway when it comes to, honestly, like I said, that's her community, right? She has her whole own community, a bunch of people that I just be like, oh, these people hard-headed, they don't listen. Because at the end of the day, you can get knowledge all day. You can get the know-how, the tools, the resources, this. But like, if you're not acting on it, you're not doing anything about it, what does it matter? I have another young lady. She listened to me. She was getting a house. COVID happened. She said, no, I'm not going to close no more because COVID happened and things. I said, okay. Are you living somewhere? She goes, yeah, I'm still in the apartment. I said, how much your mortgage would have been if you signed the closing, the paperwork. And then she said, $100 different. I said, go right now. Go sign that, especially they lower the interest for her. Especially at that time. Yeah.
I said, right now.
Yeah.
I want you to call the realtor, call anybody, tell them you go meet them wherever.
Yeah.
The office was closed. I said, and then they go meet in the parking lot. She signed up. She signed.
But she listened, and then the moving with urgency. That part for me.
Do you know what she said? Every time she called me mom now.
Yeah.
She cannot call me anything but mom.
Yeah.
I said, you listen. Her house worked twice.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they lowered the price during COVID. Her house, and then she have a low interest
rate. That's the thing right there. The interest rate.
Every time that girl sings, she was like, oh. I said, you listen.
Yeah.
When I was so strict with her.
Yes.
I said, I don't care if you don't talk to me no more, but you go.
Yeah.
She said that was the best thing. Now, the apartment is higher than a mortgage.
Absolutely. And when she got in, she has
a 5-bedroom.
Oh, she has a big house.
Yes.
That's like a mansion. Okay. So if you could go back in time and do something differently, what would it be?
A lot. Especially in an investment property.
Okay.
A lot in an investment property.
So what would you have done? What was the one thing that you would have done?
First of all, when I went to see those acre lands in Wedgefield,
that's that one. You should have got them. You didn't get them.
was able to do many acres. I always said, why do I listen to the kids?
Who?
My kids were saying, whoa, what were you doing? This is
kids
so far away.
It was not. It was the man.
When we
She don't want to talk about it, but I'm gonna say it was my daddy, y'all. He ain't ish. It was my daddy. So that's what it was. Don't let him in. No, because there are women, Mom. There are women in situations that they need to hear other women that came out of it on the other side. All right.
I should have just go do that. You know, when you said, but I didn't know better then. You know, I was like, okay.
It was the man. Don't let that man hold you back from your multimillionaire status. Okay.
A girl in that was $10,000 now.
That's
they're over 100,000 now.
Easily, and you talk about multiple. Don't listen to that man. Get your property, and you always. What did you? Now let's go back to the beginning, because you said your mom always said you had to be independent.
Independent. Right?
You always have to be independent.
And then she said, "No woman here not gonna depend on no man."
Exactly.
It's because of the way her parents make, do things
with her
way back then.
Yeah.
My mother was born in the 30s.
Yeah. Things were so different. Especially in another country, right? So it's like, it's one thing to grow up in America, it's different, but in Haiti, different. It's just different. It's different. Okay, how has being a Haitian woman shaped how you approach life and business?
What you mean by that?
So okay, you grew up just like how you were saying about how back then with your mom it was different. How would you say that growing up as a Haitian woman in Haiti and then coming here to America and seeing how people do it here in America, how would you say that shaped your outlook on how you did business?
Because I'm always I have the business mind.
So would you say that came from growing up in Haiti?
Yes,
because
my mother always doing go buy things in the countryside and then come and resell them.
There we go. So you always had the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah. That's what I mean. What you mean by
so in Haiti? So would you say in Haiti that's all? Would you say everybody's entrepreneurs? Because
no, not everybody.
Not everybody.
No, not everybody. A lot of that's why. What did I tell you? My mother said everybody going to be independent. A lot of women in Haiti depend on the husband.
Okay.
A lot, not all of them.
Yeah.
But a lot of them. That's the custom in Haiti.
Okay.
The men work, the women stay home and taking care of the kids. And the house.
All right. So you grew up with your mom.
Yeah.
Being an entrepreneur too.
Yes. Yeah.
She was getting her own.
Yeah. That's why she said nobody. Not going. You all gonna be independent.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that about grandma.
You all gonna be independent. It's that's the way you're gonna do things.
Yes. Okay, I like that. I didn't know that about grandma. What legacy do you hope to leave behind?
Having my kids to understand where I come from, and go further in life than where I want to insert it to a way for people who really understand.
Just answer it.
So I want you to be better.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, go further.
Yeah.
In life than what I accomplish.
Okay.
I want you.
What would you say that looks like? Since we're on the topic.
First, I want you to be not only independent, but help with what you're doing right now, helping others to be independent. That will push you further. And say that. And I always telling you cannot have just one property.
Yes.
You have to focus. Okay, my focus was to having 3 rental property that paid off, and then I'll be living in my place.
Yeah.
And traveling, doing, doing
What you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't want to,
say it. Yes, I asked. That's what this is. What do you think this is?
It's not like
as a mother, what does that look like for your kids? That's it. She says she don't want to push.
I want all my kids to be financially independent.
There it is. That's what I was like. Say it. Don't be scared.
When it's like finance,
yes.
I don't want none of you to struggle. I don't want none of you to struggle, because from started, if you started the right way, you continue on. Nothing is perfect.
Yeah.
But I really don't want you to struggle.
Do you feel like there's a reason to struggle? Like, is there ever a reason to really struggle financially?
If you're not healthy, if somebody is sick, and then it's okay. But if you're healthy, there's no reason. You need to get yourself in that always better position. Unless physically you cannot. Yes. But
that makes sense. That makes total sense. As my mom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's see. If you could sum up your story in one word, what would that be and why?
Be humble.
That's 2 words. Oh. Your story? Okay, I can co-sign that. Humility?
Yes. Humility, and have your focus on God.
Okay, I'll allow that. Listen, I was very lenient with her today. I could have went in. We might have to do this again, because we need to have a whole nother conversation about what's tea. Okay, so with that being said, I hope you guys got something from this video, right? Because this is the type of conversations that people don't hear on behind the scenes, and people are like, well, I didn't know this and I didn't know that. That's why I'm having I don't know who needs to hear this, but so thank you for tuning in. If you like what you hear and you want to hear more, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Bye.